Good afternoon, Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the session, this workshop session, cover to cover, how to carry the theme and keep it cohesive. Now, this is a working session, so you will need to have Google Slides so that you can access the slides and the resources that are available during this session. So as I said, it's called cover to cover, carry the theme and keep it cohesive. So we want to understand the importance of visual storytelling and layout strategies for a unified look throughout your entire yearbook. I'm Ellen Dupree. This is a little bit of background about me. I'm an E&L teacher. I work at the High School for Health Careers and Sciences. This is my first year doing a high school yearbook, but I did yearbook for 6 years, 5 years on the middle school level. So the most important thing about it is that it's interacting with the kids and bonding with them, and that's why I really love doing yearbook. And let's get into themes. Let's start talking about themes. You have access to all of these slides because it should force you to make a copy. So we'll put the link in the chat for you. And can you let our moderators know that you got the slides? To the participants, please. So I'm going to talk about what our objectives are today while you try and get your slides open. So today we're going to be discovering tools and strategies that's going to help you and your yearbook staff to create a cohesive publication, which is super important, right? So the first thing, you're going to understand the importance of visual storytelling in yearbook design. And we're going to explore some strategies for making sure that your book is consistent and looks good throughout. And also we're going to have some layout and design strategies that's going to help you promote your visual consistency throughout. So that's the most important thing about your book is theme and content, right? So we want to make it look really good. All right, so let's talk about idea number one, which is understanding the importance of visual storytelling in yearbook design, right? It's super important. That's the most important thing about it because it's a book of pictures. So visuals are super important, and you want to choose the best ones that you have that make an impact, right? Because one, it tells the story beyond words. If you have visuals, you can look at it and it shows you how people are feeling and what they're thinking. And you can also try to guess what's going on in this picture, right? Based on what you see in the image. It also creates an emotional connection for students, for their families, for everyone that's involved in the book. The people that put the pictures in, the people that are looking at the pictures, it helps the students to feel really strong about the years that they spent in their high schools or their middle schools or their elementary schools or whatever, right? So that's super important. And the third thing is that it supports the theme, which is the most important thing, which is our topic for today's, the theme, right? The most important thing about the whole idea, right? So we want to be intentional about our choices in our visuals, right? We want to have colors, fonts, layouts, everything that ties together. It makes us have a beautiful, beautiful publication. Okay, so did we get the slides? All our participants on? They got slides? Okay, so if you have slides, let's do a quick little icebreaker. Here's an image. There's two slides. The second slide also has an image. Can we go to the second one? All right, you can choose one of those slides and caption it. Give a caption or whatever, and then you can just throw it in the chat for us really quick. Tell us which image you used and how did you caption that. There's a place for you to write. So I chose the image because I thought it was a strong image, right? I wanted to know what was going on. It looked like they were having a lot of fun. I could see that it's wrestling or whatever, but how did you caption that? And those are the things that you need to think about when you're thinking about what the theme is and what kind of content you're going to add to the rest of your book. It all needs to tie together. So, did we get any responses about any captions? Nobody? I'm not going to caption it, but you have access to the slides, so you can do it later. If so, it's no rush to do that. We can just go forward with this. But these are some images, and these are the type of images that you want to think about when you're creating your theme for your yearbooks. Okay, so idea number two is exploring strategies for creating and maintaining a cohesive theme, right? So in order to do that, you have to make sure you do a few things. And one of those things is to repeat the use of your fonts and your colors and your graphics, right? Everything needs to tie together. So you need to make sure that you're not using 88 different fonts in your book because it's not going to look great at all, right? And different colors. So it's very important that you're consistent in those elements that you use in your book. The second thing is that you need to have a consistent tone in your caption and in your headlines, right? You got to keep it all, everything needs to be consistent. That's the key word, consistency, right? Cohesion, consistency. You want to make sure everything is tying together so your book looks marvelous. The third thing is that visual and narrative links go from your cover to the end of your book, from cover to cover. You want to make sure that you carry the theme throughout your book, right? Making sure you got recurring visual cues, like elements that you see on every page, or colors that repeat on every page, or the same type of fonts that go on every page. That's super, super important for having a book that looks really well and professional. Okay, third idea is that we need to discover some type of layout and design strategies, right? Because you can't just jump in there like, what am I gonna do? Like, how do you make a yearbook? When you get a blank canvas, what are we doing? What are we doing with this? Like, so in my yearbook team, they had like 20 different ideas. Everybody was like, but nobody, like, we have to pin it down. So you need to pin that down, right? So how can we pin that down? So one way that we can do that is we can do a brainstorming activity with the students that will help us try to figure out what's going on. Like, how can we get a theme that's going to be good for everybody, right? That's going to really represent our school and everything that we're doing. When we open the activity, we have the brainstorming theme activity. So this is something that I've done with my students, and it really works to like streamline the process and help everybody think about what are we doing for our school. So we have these slides. You're going to have these so you can use them. Can we click on the slides? Okay, hold on, guys. So the second slide, we should be able to go through it. Can we go through it? It's not letting you. Uh-oh. Oh, it won't. So everyone that has the slides, you should be able to access this, and this is something that you can use with your students. So once you make a copy of it for yourself, you'll be able to use it. Can we cycle through it?
Yep.
Okay, so you can change it for yourself, for your students or for your needs, but it just basically tells students what a theme is. And then you have directions for them of what you want them to do and where they should be getting inspiration and things from, like Pinterest and TikTok and Snap and the Gram and all of those things, because students have lots of places, plethora of places to get ideas from. So you want them to do that. So then you give them the slideshow, like you can do that in your yearbook class. And this is an important question. What's 5 things that make our school unique? So there's a series of questions that you can ask your students. And once they answer all of that and you guys talk about it, then we start narrowing ideas down, right? So that's one way of doing it. Can we go back to the main slide?
Just go back to the main presentation.
Which is that one, the one next to it. Right. Okay. So as you're doing that, right? So you do your brainstorm theme activity. Something that's super important and useful and that you need is a style guide. You have to have a style guide, right? Okay, so that's what I'm talking about here, is that we create a style guide, right? And you're probably like, what is a style guide? Like, what is that? If you haven't been doing yearbooks, then you might not know what that is. But we're gonna talk about what a style guide is. There's an article there for you to read at your leisure about how to establish a style guide from Entourage Yearbooks. Okay, but what you're gonna do in a style guide is you basically define and document all of the elements that you're, right? So you make a document where everybody has access to it in your yearbook, so they know what to do. They know these are the fonts. So what I do in my class is we print it out and then we put it in a poster maker. And we make a giant poster, it's in the yearbook room, so everybody can go up to the poster and say, here's our color palette, here's our fonts, here's all the things that we're using, so no one is confused about what to do, okay? So if you have like your headers, we're using this font for the headers, we're using this font for the quotes, and so on and so on, and that's what that is. So we're gonna be doing that ourselves. On the next slide, I think we're gonna be doing the activity, the yearbook activity. It's a theme activity, so we can go to the next slide and get to that. Okay, so here it is. This is the activity. You're gonna need to work on this. You're gonna need to work on this on your own, and I'll talk through it. Anybody have any questions about it? We're gonna do it along with you. Do we have any questions about themes at all? Anybody say any? No questions? There's really, I mean, if there are any questions, I'm here to answer the questions, but let's go through the slide. Let's go through the slide there.
Okay, 1 moment. I'm just gonna share it.
Oh, I didn't know that before. All right, so I need some interaction here from our participants. So if you hear my voice, can you throw in the chat your name, where are you at, what school you at, how long you've been advising? Give me some information. Like, I need to talk back because nobody's here in the room and it feels weird. So guys, participate for me. Give me some, talk back to me in the chat, please. Oh, I like when I can see it there. What's the
We have, they love the activity so far.
Oh, great. Fantastic. Okay, so no questions. You know what? That's good because I tried to make it straight to the point as possible. So maybe we won't have a lot of questions about it. Okay. But speaking about theme, unless you're a designer, you're not going to be creating the yearbook from scratch, right? You're going to get an idea about what it is. Then you're going to go into Entourage, into the millions of beautiful templates that they have, and you're going to use those most of the time. But sometimes the students come up with something and you're like, wait, they don't have everything that we need for this. We have to create our own template. So we need a different color scheme or we need something like that. So sometimes you're going to have to do that. And that's where Style Guide is really, really coming in handy. Right? So for this activity, we're going to do it. It's a style guide. It's an abbreviated style guide. Your style guide, your real style guide for your yearbook will be much more involved than what we're going to do now. But it's just a touching point, right? So we're going to do that. You can, it's for your copy. You have a copy. You can share it with us, and you can just, you can put the link, copy the link, and put it in the chat so we can see what you've done after. Okay, let's go to the next. Yes.
So some of the people here, we have Crystal, she's from a middle school in Woodlake, California.
Hi, Crystal.
We have Andrew, he's from Andrew Holmes Elementary in Lincoln, Nevada.
Hi, Andrew.
Then we have Christine Dunn, she's from an elementary school in Syracuse, New York.
Christine, hi. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, so I hope that some of this is very useful for you. And it's even elementary school can follow along with this. It's really, really simple and easy. And you can change anything that you need to support your students or your yearbook staff, right? I understand some yearbook staff are the teachers and not students, but for me, it's students. So everything that I do is about the students. Okay. If they had the main slide, it would, when they click on the link, it will force them to get the copy of this, so they should have. Okay, so this is an example of what we're doing today. It's abbreviated, of course, but it's still a touching point, right? It starts you off. So what you're gonna do, this is an example of what it's gonna look like. You're going to look for some cover work or what you think is close to what might be a theme for you. You're gonna select the color palette and add it, and then you're also gonna choose some fonts, right? If you're in Entourage, if you're using that platform, you're gonna use what's inside there if you need to. But you can go outside and use other resources as well. So this is an example of one that someone did, and I have another example too. So this one is not quite like us. I thought it was interesting, and they talked about why they chose the theme, which is what I really want you to do, which is important. I want you to choose some type of cover work, come up with a title for your theme, and then give me the rationale for why you chose that particular theme, right? And then we're gonna do some fonts. You shouldn't have more than 5. I would say not more than 5. I say 3 minimum, not more than 5, okay? So let's go to the next one. This is another example that someone chose, which was nice, and they said a place to grow, which is obvious, you can see, like that's really good connection. And they said that the school's theme is a place to grow, and that was really good, the color selection and the fonts that they chose. Okay, so this is what your page is gonna look like. It's called the one-page pitch. That's what we do at the beginning of yearbook. We start off with the one-page pitch. then we collect all of them, and then we vote on which one is the best. Sometimes we collaborate, we put them together, all the ideas, and come up with one great idea. So that's just something that you can get kids to do, because trust me, saying, what should our theme be is not the way. Everybody's gonna raise their hands and say, we should do this. I had a big skirmish about scrapbook. Like, they want a scrapbook theme, half the room want a scrapbook theme, and the other half of the room wanted 10 other things. So you have to find a way to streamline it and get them all in agreement, and this is a good way to do that. So let's go to the next slide. These are your resources, right? So this should help you out with the activity that you're about to do. So when you click on each of the images, it's gonna take you to color palettes, like to websites that have color palettes. This is just some cover art examples. Can we click on it? So that gives you an idea of your fronts and your backs and how it should look and how it should go together. This is just stuff that I pulled to show, because I thought it was interesting. I really like this elementary school. I really thought that was striking. So I did go for things that were colorful, yes.
Do you have any examples of where you find your inspiration for the covers?
So I do, if you click on, like, let's go back to the resources page.
Oh, there's your one.
Right, so these are places where I find things, right? So if you click on color palettes, click on it. These are all links to places where you can find color palettes, right? Because sometimes it starts off with just an image and a picture, right? The image and the colors that's in the image, right? So you click on any one of those, and just open. And it's gonna take you to like a website that has these things that help you out. So, for instance,
I don't think they can see this.
let me get rid of that.
No, hold on.
They can't, can we get rid of that?
Oh.
Right, so I wanted to go into, let's click on another one, because I don't know about this. This is generator. You can do this, but this one you can just click on, it just helps you. All of these are places where you can get colors from. Yeah, click on any one that doesn't. Entourage even has, you can even go into Entourage Yearbooks, they have it. So for instance, there's an image, there's the colors associated with the image, and you go from there. So these are some of the things that's inspirational. So when we first start yearbook, we start looking through images. So we start with a style guide, which is what we do. We have the kids start looking for color palettes and start looking for images that inspire. So these are some of the things that I used for inspiration, right? So let's go back to the slide and go to, where were we at? We were on the resource page, right? This is color palette, right? So you go here, fonts, same thing. This takes you to a number of places for fonts. Right, so fonts are everywhere. I'm sure everyone knows how to access fonts, but just in case, there are a lot of links to different places where you can get fonts from to add. And sometimes, Entourage has a lot of fonts, but you can always call them. If you don't see the one that you want, call them up and ask them about it, and they will help you out with that. They are amazing. All right, so this is where you get fonts. So I get inspired by fonts. Also, when you look at images, sometimes you'll see a font and the headline is like, oh, I really like that font. So you can do that. Let's go back to the page.
Hold on.
This is a couple slides. Okay, and let's click on this one. So this is an online article that I found that had a style guide template in it that I really thought was very useful, right? So you can go here and it has a download, and I think we know her. Right? We know her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you download that, can we open that for a minute? This example, this one. Example style guide. Let's take a look at that. All of these things are so useful. You'll find that they will be so helpful for you when you start the yearbook this year. It's about to open. This one is a more involved style guide than what we're gonna do, but it gives you an idea of how helpful this is. Right, so this is what she did, is super involved. I think we could just scroll from here to the pages. Yeah, right there.
Okay.
Can we go through it? Right, so here's inspirational photos, right? So this is a style guide. This is a very involved one. So you get the inspiration photos and you're like, okay, this is leading us into what our colors are gonna be. And then they pick the theme, right? They started deciding what the theme is gonna be. You start putting information about what's gonna connect your theme, right? Let's just go through it and I'll just talk through it as you go through.
Sure.
Right, so that's Young, Wild, and Free, that's their theme. You could just scroll it, and I'll just, those are the words that they wanna use in the book. They wanna use all of these words because they're associated with the theme, right? So this is how much you're keeping your theme and your content connected, right? If you have this guide, you cannot go wrong, because you put it up, you post it. This one is more like a book, which they would be looking through, and if you need to see what are our fonts, you just go to the book. Let's keep scrolling. Okay, so these are things that they want to add in their book, like the special pages, right? They have special pages and they want to talk about first time for everything or the first that they did in high school. So this is really interesting because we have some stuff like that too in our high school. We have like pep rallies and things like that. So you want to keep those ideas somewhere too, so everybody doesn't forget about it when you're putting your yearbook together. A lot of things get lost. Okay, so that's the theme, that's the tone. Remember, I was talking about keeping your tone consistent, right? And what they want their tone to be is relatable, and they're putting things there so you can understand. And what our theme is not plain, old-fashioned, whatever. So this is a really involved style guide, which I like, and I thought it was very useful. So you can use it as much as you want. You can take out what you don't need and add something else if you want. Okay, let's keep going. All right, and here's the color palette. And they even went so far as to put the color codes. So you can, that's imagine, you will put your color codes there. That's to show you. But so that nobody messes up the colors, right? If you're on a different computer and you're using CNYK, you have the codes for the colors so you can get the exact color if you don't have a color picker in your program, which you should. I think mostly all arts programs have color pickers now, right? Okay, so that's one way. They have the color palette there. Then they also put it here again, so there's no mistakes. What else is in the sky? Okay, now here's super important, the fonts, right? So this is the fonts. So they're letting you know, what are we doing? Where are we doing these fonts at? Where are we using each one of these fonts and how do we want our book to look? And they have a definite look. The style guide itself has a definitive look. So you know the yearbook is gonna be awesome, right? Based on that style guide. They got what kind of fonts they're gonna use here. This is the accents. They got subheads, the copy for the body, the pull quotes, and this is the caption fonts. So when you create this, this helps you. It helps you so much. So I don't know how many slides. Can we keep going? Okay, these are the sections. So they already broke the book down. Helps you keep your book consistent. If you know what each book is, and you also can assign it. So whoever has sports, they know to use the colors from the sports and they know which fonts to use, and it's easier for people to work together, right? Even though you're working together, sometimes you're working separately because people are doing yearbook from other classes, like art class. I have students working on yearbook in art classes. I have students working on yearbook from home. So people working from different places, and you need everybody to still be doing the same thing, no matter where they are. So when you come together, it looks like we were together when we did this, right? So that's super important. Okay, let's see what else is in here. Okay, so this is just the order, right, that you want to put it in. Oh, it's 20. I see it's 20. Let's go a little faster with it. Okay, so basically, this is what a style guide is, right? A super involved style guide. We're just gonna do a little quick, what is the theme gonna be? What kind of colors and what kind of fonts, right? A basic thing, which would be good if you're in the lower level grades. If you're like in elementary, that would be super great for you. If you're in high school, more advanced, you might be in advanced high school, and this might be what they're doing, okay? But you get the idea, I hope. And if you have any questions about it, you can ask me, but you do have access to this. Everything that I'm showing you, you can use for yourself. I added the links and you have access. Okay. I think we can come out of the style guide, we can go back to the slide because we have, what, how many minutes? We have like half hour. Okay, so I was giving a tip, I wrote it there, that you have to make sure that your style guide is accessible to everyone at all times. So that's super important, yes.
I think with the question about fonts, do you have any recommendations for font sizes they should be using? Is there like a size you've seen that's worked well?
So I would say all of that needs to go on your style guide. That's not a thing that's written in stone. You have to decide for yourself how small or large you want your fonts to go. But I would say I use a standard like 12-point font for like basic things like captions and stuff like that. But depending on how your page is, You might need a larger font or you might need a smaller font. So it depends on you and what font you're using. There's no, like, I couldn't tell you, oh, you gotta use point 10. Like, no way. All right. You choose whatever works for your book stylistically, right? So whatever font, like sometimes we have something, it's so much space there, we can't use a small font because we're gonna have excess space. That doesn't make any sense. So sometimes we just blow the text up larger just to fit the picture. So whatever looks good, that's what it is. It's about keeping the theme consistent with the content, but also being stylistic about it, right? How is your style? What are you looking at? What are you trying to make it look like? So the size of the fonts is up to each person, right? But if you want a specific font, you put it in your style guide and you say, listen, we're not using any fonts that's bigger than 18 or something like that. So it goes in your style guide and that should be helpful. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back to the fonts. So as far as the fonts, remember when you do your style guide to remember all the things where you have to add text, right? That's important to remember that. Or else you might come up to something and say, what font should we use for this? Because I don't know, we didn't decide on a font for the senior quotes, which might be a totally different font because you might want it italicized or something like that. So that depends, but just make sure you keep note of that when you're doing your style guide, okay? All right, we can go to we're gonna work on the slide now. Everybody's gonna do a quick little style guide. You have a blank one for yourself and you're going to find some inspiration, which is anywhere. I like Pinterest because they have super duper images. I mean, we live in an age of technology. Inspiration is everywhere. All you gotta do is type something in, ask Google, they pull up something, and then you go from there. So right now, on the resource page, it had like some cover art inspiration, but you can just type in yearbook covers all day. You will get a bunch of cover art. But I don't start with yearbook covers myself. I really start with color. I like color. That's the main thing. So we always work with, we find an image that we like that has colors in it, and then we pull a palette, and then we try to see if we can see somebody else's yearbook cover. Because the yearbook covers that you're gonna find are covers that people have done. So you're either gonna use a cover that's already established, or you're gonna come up with something totally new. And the only way to do that is to start off with your color inspiration, right, in your image. So let's try to do that. And we're gonna do it too. So we'll do it with you. So let's go find, we'll use a cover, we'll find a cover. So just type in your covers. I have covers here, so I can use one from there. But everything is already there. If you use a cover, can we go back to that image of the yearbook covers?
Okay.
If you pull this, all your colors are there, right? They have primary colors. This is elementary school, so you can see what the theme is. It's kind of like primary colors and a little, I see turquoise in there, but it's a basic palette, right? So you find something like this, and then you pull a color palette from it. And then you decide what kind of fonts would you want. So look at the outside of this. This cover is not even a font. That's like some hand-drawn art, right? So you have to decide, what do you want? Like, what is it that you're looking for? This is a special font. It says retrospect, and it does look very retrospective, right? It goes with the theme. You can tell it looks 70s, like the 70s, something like that. So let's try to find something and throw it in there, and we'll work with everybody. Are there any questions? Is everybody ready to work? Okay, so let's work. So let's put in yearbook covers for search.
Oh, you want to do a Google
Yeah,
search?
we're gonna do a slide with them.
Okay.
So we can see what kind of time it's taking.
To share.
And once you've done your slide, you're gonna put your link in the chat, and then we'll pull it up so we can look at it and see what people have done.
So like images?
Images, yeah. Okay, so it's so many things to choose from, so many to choose from. So if you go with something like, this is color, like all of this is color, right? So it takes you to color, like what are we gonna do here? I like the colors there. So what does it make me think of when I look at it? It makes me think of art, right? Like some type of art. So you have to, being that we're just doing this from our head, think about your school. Like, what is the spirit of the school? Which is why we do the brainstorming activity with students, and they tell you what's going on with school. These are the things that makes our school unique. These are things that make me think about our school. These are things that's happening in our school. And all of those things together combined will help you decide where we're going with our theme, right? So we're just gonna pick something random just to try it out. And I like all hands together, I saw, oh, we did this. This is my thing from last year with scrapbook, and it was like that. Let's go up. My kids took inspiration from this picture right here, out of all the things that we looked at on the internet, out of all the things, and I'm sorry I don't have a copy of my yearbook right now to show you, but it came out awesome. It came out awesome, but this was our inspiration picture. They decided, oh, we want to do a scrapbook based on that picture. So that's what we got. So we're just gonna pick something. Let's see. Lori, what should we pick?
Oh gosh. I mean, I like that one.
All right, I do too. I like it too. When I saw it, I was like, I like that, but, is that us? All right, then good, perfect. Let's pick that. Let's pick that one. So you're gonna copy image. We don't have a back picture of it, but the back, I'm assuming is yes.
We have a question from someone as they're picking their theme. They've said in the past they keep using their school colors, orange and black, just for their covers. What are your thoughts on breaking the cycle of just school colors?
So absolutely, please break the cycle of the school colors because it will get so boring and tedious. Each year your book is going to look the same on the outside each year. So you don't want that to happen. I would say, for me personally, in my opinion, absolutely break the cycle. However, inside you can dedicate a page to your school colors, which is what we did. We had a scrapbook and it was like beige. It didn't have our school colors at all until you got to sports. When you got to sports, that was dedicated to all our school colors. Everything was in there, pep rally, the band, everything, and you could see that it was school colors and it represented our school really well. But kids have other ideas and people have other ideas about other colors. So definitely break the cycle, I say. Get out of that box. Unless you just wanted to look like a set of encyclopedias when you put all your yearbooks together. So, which volume is this? I don't know. They all match. Okay, if that's what you're going for, then keep the colors. But if you want to do something different, break the cycle. I'm all about the colors and breaking the cycle. None of the yearbooks that I've done, 6 yearbooks, they all look different. And when you put them all together, they all look beautiful. So definitely break the cycle of only school colors. We got this one. We're gonna copy the image. And then we're just gonna paste it on the slide.
Here?
Yep, paste it where it says covers. We have a lot of tabs. We have a lot of tabs.
I have to close a couple.
Yeah, because we have a lot. We got a lot of stuff going on, guys. But it's all fun and it's great. And all of these resources, I hope, will be really helpful for you. You can adjust them as you need to. You're not there. You're on a copy of something.
I know. Well, we can-
Yep, it's right there. Okay. Now you just paste. It's letting you click on the link, so it should let you copy and paste as well. Because I don't know what to do if it's not letting me do that. I can't show. I can't demonstrate.
Okay, we'll get it. We'll get it.
You just have to go back and make sure you copy the image.
We're in this together.
Okay, so copy image. And then let's look for paste and try it that way. And
Stop sharing.
because paste is not even coming up. Maybe because of sharing? For your patience as we work through this. This is a new for Entourage, like we're doing this year is our first year with virtual. So we're all here learning and we're in it. We're in the fray and we're gonna come out of this great. All right, but I know if you're home, you shouldn't have any troubles copying and pasting anything. So I'm looking forward to seeing someone's slides that they did. Ah, there you go. Boxes popped up.
We're coming. We're coming.
Okay, okay. I mean, they have their slides, the participants, so you can still work on it as we try to work on ours.
We did already get
Okay.
an example sent in from Stacy.
We
She finished
did?
hers,
Oh.
and do you want me to add it to the slide? that we
Yes.
can share it?
Yes, because I would love to see it. That's fantastic. Thank you, Stacy. So That's awesome. I would love to see what Stacy did. So the rest of it is pretty simple, right? Because it says colors, and if I chose this as my cover, does that mean I want to use those colors? Maybe not necessarily, right? I might want to use the idea, but I don't have to use exactly, right? Because we appropriated things, right? So we're not gonna copy the same exact idea, but
What colors would you use?
for this, I like this. So for this, they use almost every color. So, so I mean, somewhere in there. For the purpose of this, I would definitely. So here, I wouldn't write the. I would go to I would look for a color palette here. You gotta put an actual palette there. So you're gonna go to the colors, and then we're just gonna choose one that has these colors in it. And also, if you have a color picker design, like let's say we can color pick. Stay here. Make just make that box, like draw a box, insert a box, go to image, insert. Go to shape, shapes, just pick a square. Okay, and just put the square there. Okay, that's fine. Now you should be able to get the color picker. So click on, right, okay, so click on that box.
Okay.
And now you're gonna get to color, you wanna color it, so you wanna go to the paint bucket, right, click on it, and then you wanna go to the color picker, which is here. And now you just wanna click on one of the colors in the image. Click on it, and that's how you do it. That's how you select your colors from an image, right? So you're able to do that, and you do that with each color that you wanna add. So can we copy this box and just add another color? Yep, and do the same process. You go up over there, pick out another color that you want to use from the image, like that yellow mustard, whatever that is, and da-da. And so that's how you create your color palette based on an image, okay? So now fonts, this is a simple process. We can pick the fonts right from the program that we're in. And let's say for our headlines, so you need to type something there, just add a text box or something. Yep. And we're gonna select the font, and you should choose, let's see what we're gonna choose. So let's say we're doing our header. Let's go up to Arial.
You want me to type something?
I want you to go here and choose something. Yeah, that's fine, and then select it, and then let's choose a different. Are we doing good for time? Okay. Choose. Impact. I saw impact because I like to make an impact, so let's do that. So impact, for instance, that would be our headers, right? So everything mostly in the book, like the title of the book, will be impact, right? Okay, so then we'll say our subtitles, we're gonna choose another font that will be good for our subtitles. That will also complement the font that you choose. Your fonts should also complement each other. They shouldn't look like they don't belong together. Okay, so you have to find a way, or they shouldn't look too similar if they're different, right? Because some of the fonts look alike. So that's why it's good that you can see how the fonts are. When you go to font, you can see the style of the font. You don't want to choose two that look almost alike. Like Playfair Display, for instance, looks close to Georgia, sort of, right? So you want to think about that. So what's gonna complement the header of impact? What kind of font could we use? So since it's a blocky type of font, you don't want to choose something that doesn't really go with it, right? So let's scroll down and see what we got. Lexington is a good one because it's just like a basic font. Like you need a font, right, that complements. So this is like a thinner version of just a basic font, because you also want to read, right? Sometimes you can't pick the script fonts because they're too difficult to read depending on what you have to write and how the size of the font. So you have to think about that, right? And then like quotes. Let's say we're doing quotes. We got a lot of quotes in the book, right? For our book, we have quotes from the coaches, quotes from the teachers, quotes from the admin, all of those quotes. And we like to put those in like some type of italicized type of font. So let's look for one for that, for quotes. So we got Stacy was number one. Did we get anybody else finished yet? We almost done with ours. We still have to come up with a title. Well, the title is there. Basically, we're not gonna reinvent the wheel right now. We're just showing you an example of how you can create a style guide. So now we want something that looks a little, let me see, let's go down a little bit. Let me see what I like. Oh, it's not that many in here. This is Google Slides.
Mhm.
So the only way you get more fonts in Google Slides, you have to go to extensions and get more fonts. And we're not gonna do that for the purpose of this. We're just gonna work with what we have. So let's try caveat in semi-bold. Quotes. Now, sometimes when you do your style guide, because it's not the actual content, you might have to go back and change things, and that's okay, right? First, you have to start working with it and see, are these going together? Maybe we found the font that we like better, which happened in our case. Everybody agreed to the fonts, we had it up there, and then someone was like, this font is better, let's use this font. So we ended up changing a lot of the font, one of the fonts. One font we changed to something else, and it did look much better. It went better with the tone of our book, and stylistically, it looked really good. So that's what you do. This is a basic thing. So the title of this one is All Hands Together. So we're gonna change it to All Together now, right? Let's just say you're appropriating some other work, like listen, seriously, real talk. It's work. It's fun. There are a lot of fun times creating a yearbook, but it is also a lot of work. Anybody that has done yearbook knows that it is a lot of work at the end of the day. So having these things already outlined for you makes it much, much easier, because it is so very difficult to do these things. So this says All Hands Together. We're gonna just write theme title All Together Now. That's our theme title. All Together Now. And then I want, what do you call it? Ellipse, and then, and add, and then, because this is how things come about, right? So as I saw All Together Now, it's like, oh, and then, because this is a yearbook. So we're not only talking about now, we're graduating now, but we're talking about back then when we were freshmen, right? When we were juniors, all of those things. So the theme of our theme title is All Together Now. Ellipse, what's that, ellipse? It's called ellipse, right? The three dots, dot, dot, dot. No, the title.
Oh.
It's in the title.
Sorry.
It's okay. Right? Dot, 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 three dots. And then, and add, and then. And that could mean a lot of things, right? That could mean, and then we graduated, or and then before. So whatever, however you interpret your school, whatever the kids, because at the end of the day, if the kids are yearbook staff, you have to incorporate their ideas, right? Really, for me, I'm a facilitator. I make sure that my students have the time and the space to do what they want, and I just try to guide their ideas. And I make sure that they have all the resources that they need. So the rationale for the theme choice of this is that I took it from another book, but the rationale is that we are all together now. And then we did more things together, right? So that's the rationale. So whatever the rationale is, you have to have the kids come up for the reason why they created the theme. So that's the main point for doing this one pitch. This activity is for the beginning of yearbook. Before you get into the meat of the book, you start to do this small activity to try to see where kids are at. Do they have any ideas? So also, this presentation is differentiated because I teach a variety of kids with different styles of learning and collaborating. Some of my students like to work by themselves, and some of them like to work in groups. So you can do it as a group. They can sit there and do it as a group and come up with an idea, or they could do it individually and present their ideas that way. But at the end of the day, we pull all of these as a group, as the yearbook committee. We look at all of the slides and we see, hey, what's working for us? What can we use? What do we want to change? And that's how we come up with our themes. So can we look at somebody's thing? Do we have anything right
Yeah,
now?
we have 3 of them have been shared. I added them in as the next 3 slides.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait to see them. So basically that says, any questions about this activity? Is there anything that anybody would add to this activity? Any suggestions for that? Because it's worked really well. It's worked really, really well with my students for the past few years. They love this. It really helps them to guide their thinking. Oh, look, a year in our shoes, and there's a bunch of shoes. That's awesome. I love it. I like that. That's really good. Shoes are a big, huge deal with middle schoolers. Shoes are a huge deal with most middle schoolers, as is personal identity and having people understand and know them. Different shoes and things that lead towards what the students did is the rationale. That's awesome. That's a great rationale, great theme title. The picture is reflective. You definitely, I would say the color palette, you might need a few more colors for your palette because your whole book is those, the colors that you put in your palette are the colors that you're gonna use in your book. No more than that. So whatever's in the palette, you need to put every color that you're going to use, other than the black, 'cause black is for the text or whatever. Some text is white. Most times, black, white text, I don't know. The colorful text doesn't always work depending on what you're writing it on, it depends. But I love this, this is fantastic, and look at the fonts. New cycle, so importantly, when you do your fonts on your style guide, when you create it, make sure that you write it in the font that it is, and you also write what is that font being used for. So we got new cycle, Patrick Hand, and animatic SC bold, but you wanna know, where am I using new cycle at? What part of the book? What else they won't, it'll get confusing, they won't know where am I using these fonts at. So that's the only thing I would say about that, but I love that, that's a fantastic title and a good rationale. Thank you so much for that. Who typed that in? Was that Stacy? She was the first one. Thank you, Stacy. Fantastic job. What we got? We got three, right? Next. Mr. How do you say that? Thank you so much. Going Green, A Bug's Journey. This is definitely elementary school, right? Yes, I'm assuming it's definitely. School will be getting a new pollinator garden. This is awesome. I love this. And it's A Bug's Life. Look. A Bug's Life font. The subtitle, the headers are Bug's Life font. Subtitle is Perfect Penmanship. I love it. It's fantastic. See, and this is gonna be helpful, right? So you're gonna be like, what color are we gonna use? What font are we gonna use? What is our theme? Like all of these questions will be answered because you'll be like, check out the style guide. We're gonna use that. That's gonna guide us through our whole process. Because believe it or not, I had high school students, and some of them are still like off the style guide. But as long as you have it, you can point them in the right direction. Like, listen, you got off track. Like we were never using purple. Like we never had anything with the color purple. So I love that. Thank you so much for sending that in. That is beautiful. And we have another one, Cult Pride. I'm proud to be a cult. Okay, so where's that from? Like I know it's from not in New York, like right? A cult, is it from somewhere else?
Rhonda, is that for your school mascot? Are you guys the Colts? We'll see if she sends in.
Okay, but the colors, as you can see, the colors came directly out of the picture, out of the image. So that's how you create your theme. That's how you create your theme, that's how you create your style guide. So the most important thing about keeping it consistent, which is what this is about, is making sure that you utilize all of the resources that you have and tie all of your things together, because everything needs to match and everything needs to be the same from the front cover to the back covers. You have inside pages, you need to have layouts. So like I was saying before, and we've mentioned, if you're not designing from scratch, you have so much help. You go into Entourage, there's templates galore for you to choose from. And the good thing about that is they have the layouts, you can always change the colors. If you have your color palette, you just need some help with what kind of templates, what kind of layouts are we gonna do, right? If you have that, your work is almost done, right? So it's just about making sure everything is matching. I like this. Look at the palette. This is inspirational, right? This is inspirational. It will inspire your students because they will see like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And then it also helps them to collaborate more and to talk more about their ideas with each other. And it's a wonderful, fun process. I really like that. I didn't see, so the fonts are not in the, like, you need to do the font in the actual font. I know how awesome looks, I like it. Vertigo Pro and Tabitha. So it's really useful and helpful that when you put your fonts on your style guide, it is the actual font so that they know how the font should look, because these are just the same font. So you need to know. So all the places we have been, great. This is a book that is, this is for a book that is a 5th grade book, content of the 5th grade class since they started school in Cleveland. It's awesome. That's really beautiful. The color is very inspirational. I like it a lot. Thank you so much, Janet. I appreciate that. That's really nice. I think that's the end of the slides that we have, but if there's any questions, all of these resources are here for you, the colors, the fonts, where to get yearbook cover inspiration. You have the brainstorming activity that you can do with your students, and that really helps narrow down. Okay, that helps narrow everything down for you. So we're almost coming to the end of our workshop. Thank you for attending. I'm really happy to see everybody here. We're having a great time. If there's any other questions, please let us know now so we can answer questions before we wrap up. And I think that's about, can we go to that brainstorming activity? It's on the main slide. I think the main slide. I think it's the first one. Yeah. Yeah, this one.
This one?
Oh, yeah. Can you just scroll through it for me? So I want to talk some more about the, oh, you gotta stop sharing the scroll?
No, I got it now.
Okay.
Development.
Okay, great. Okay, so that just talks about the theme, but also just add in any information that you want students to know when you do the activity, add everything in it. You might want to give them a little bit of, you might want to share a yearbook from the previous year. You might want to give them some extra information. Let's scroll to. Okay, and you can change the questions to any of the questions, you can change them to support your students, right? So, let's go to the next question. The first question is, what are 5 things that make our school unique? 1, we have a swimming pool, like all the things that we have. What makes my school unique is we have sports teams for everything. We have football teams, basketball teams, volleyball, soccer, swimming. We have so many teams. Sports took like a major section in our book, right? So you have to think about that, and that helps students to like get an idea. Let's see some of the other questions that we have in here. You can change these questions for your school, for your students. What's 5 things you associate with our school? 1 would be your mascot, right? Whatever your mascot is. Maybe your coach. So our coach, one of our coaches is so like prevalent in school, like everybody talks about this coach that he got his own spread. And they called it from 1 to Chumney, because he's Coach Chumney, how are you feeling today? And they just showed a bunch of the coach with these different faces from all the teams that he's coaching. So you think about those things, and that helps the kids. What else do we have? Okay, adjectives, school appropriate. You see, I had to put that because I teach high school, and some of the adjectives was like, I don't even know what that means. Okay, so what else do we have? Just a bunch of questions, though. What else we got? That was it?
There you go.
Oh, okay. So this is for high school. So if you have elementary school, you might, I don't know. You know what? I wouldn't even say that now. These kids today, we have social media, so they're out there. They know things. You can't assume, right? Just because your child is 7 doesn't mean they don't have an idea about what's going on in politics or culture or anything like that. So it's up to you if the questions are appropriate or not, right? But 5 trends affecting our student body. So we had our student body was doing the boo-boo dolls or something. I don't know. It was a thing, but a lot of girls was walking around with Stanley Cups and La Boo Boo dolls. So that was a trend that was affecting our student body. So we have some of those pictures in the book. So these are the things that help you to narrow down your theme, streamline everything, start getting your content to match with your cover, and keeping everything together, right? Because we want it to be cohesive and beautiful and consistent. And that's the main thing, right? That is the main thing. So thank you so much. We are wrapping it up now. I appreciate everybody coming and attending today. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your summer and the rest of this conference, which is awesome. Thank you for your patience with our technology and all the things that we're going through. But we're having a great time, and we hope you are too. Yes.
We have one last question.
Yes.
Do you have any tips for using the theme and promotional materials for the yearbook?
And promotional materials, the theme that they picked for the yearbook. So I would say absolutely. If you have promotional materials, you definitely want to put a striking image of your yearbook or whatever you think your cover is looking like on those promotional materials, because you want people to want to buy it, right? So you want it to look really good. So my advice for that would be to make sure you have an impactful image, because that's what's important. What's going to draw people is the color. Like, what am I looking at? What do you want me to buy, right? So you want to make sure you have something that's striking, that's something that's attracting people So I would definitely say absolutely on your promotional material. And if you don't have your cover yet and you still have to promote, use some of the colors, right? Make it colorful, make it interesting. That's what you have to do, right? So you can draw everybody in. Thank you so much for that question. So use the internet to find 5 powerful statements. That's a good one, yes. We wrapping it up, I'm done. So, like I said, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your summer, everybody.